How would you redesign the world's most famous rugby logo? Here's how I did it. Right, to give you a bit of backstory, Six Nations is absolutely massive in the UK. They run all the most premier international rugby tournaments, and you may have seen how I lent into that global reach in the first concept I presented in my last video. I think it's one of the best things I've ever made, so I was a bit gutted it didn't get over the line. But hey, it's the game we play. Despite some really great feedback on that design, I ultimately had to come up with something else because the brief was updated and it changed the direction they wanted to go in. The revised brief meant that I needed to create a new mark that communicated more movement whilst balancing with the premium nature of the brand. There were some suggestions of doing something similar to the NBA logo or the MLB logo, which featured a silhouette of a player, but I felt we could be a bit more unique whilst not being too abstract. So I set to work coming up with some ideas, and I found this sweet concept which combined a line out, which conveyed more movement, with a crown which spoke to their long-standing position as market leaders. Similar to the first round, I blew this concept out into a full brand presentation, going through all the design thinking and the executions within this new identity. I was pumped with how it turned out and received some really great feedback. But the challenge of working on brands this massive is the number of people you need to get sign off from. Not only did I need approval from the corporate brand team, but I also needed approval from each of the competing nations. So England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, Italy, and France. And it got through everyone, except one nation. They felt like the crown suggested they had a royal family, which they don't, and it's something I certainly should have considered, so it was totally my bad. But after some further back and forth with the corporate team and the pressure of the looming deadline, I was shared a rough concept that was created internally, which had already achieved sign-off amongst the stakeholders. And all I had to do was clean it up a bit. So after a few tweaks and building a simple identity by focusing on the angle of those italicized letters, we did it. Signed off by everyone in the corporate team and each of the nations. It's now been rolled out across their app, their website, and all corporate communications. Insane. What an absolutely wild experience it is to work with a brand of that size. I could not be more grateful to everyone at Six Nations. They were so kind and trusting and supportive, and a complete pleasure to work with. What an absolute treat. On to the next.